Welcome back, Black Magic TV. And on the blackest of Fridays, on the
Eve of the
eve of turning old,
yeah.
um, little bro come by who just was being very Neko Lynn, or Neko, you guys know Neko. He's been acting real weird for about a week now. And he told me he has to tell me about a comic book, but refused to let me do any research on the comic book.
Okay, yeah. So we'll get into it then.
Yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah. So it's been about a
You
year.
can grab that and move it wherever you
It's
want.
been about a year
It's been about a year since Neko was
since
on.
I was back on, and I think last time we
We had a bit of a barn burner.
we had a bit of a barn burner. I think I burnt 3 of the candles my wife had. Just burnt them completely out. Probably holding the longest video,
Yeah,
I
that's
think,
the
on
longest.
record
Had to
still.
break it into 3 episodes. just to
Tyler
get it to
decided
upload.
to come join the set instead of be behind the camera. That was his breakthrough.
Oh, that was like the first time I did that, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
like, why don't you set by me? And then
Yeah.
there it is. So yeah, it was good.
And now through then, I still can't manage to get the production exactly right. I've got TVs hanging and yeah, because you were Neko walked out of into the
Where the magic happens here.
in the Magic Mansion, and was like, "Oh, I forgot you have microphones. We don't have to use those chachi ones anymore." And
Yeah.
I got like monitors and computer mice and
Yeah.
controllers and remotes and all kinds of things.
Yeah, so yeah, obviously you're on the up and up, especially since the last time we did this. And then as far as my front goes, I've still been pretty busy with artwork, but definitely just been focusing mainly on stuff I want to do on top of working at my day job, screen printing.
Neko quit the body shop industry though.
Yeah, that which was the
And
best
got a job.
decision I ever made.
Actually took a job doing artwork, creative stuff.
Yeah. So that's been really great, and that's been going good. I got a good team, and it's been a good outlet and experience and learning and all that jazz. But basically, I've had a lot of time where I haven't had, I feel like, a good balance between work and life.
Yeah.
For the last like ever 10 years or whatever it was that I was just doing freelance. So it's been really good to go work like Monday through Friday and like be creative, but at the end of the day I can check out and then deal with whatever family stuff or home stuff I have to do, and then go do artwork or do whatever I want and not have to feel like, oh, I've got to really keep up with all these different customer jobs or different things that are coming through. So
9 million people calling you on the phone.
yeah, that still kind of happens.
9 million people calling me on the phone because they can't call you on the phone, as though I'm some sort of. And then now I'm like your official gatekeeper. I'm like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Have you talked to him? Yeah, like every day.
Yeah.
Well, hey, man, if he wants to talk to you, guess what? Still the same as it was last year. He'll get a hold of you when he's got the time.
Right, which has been hard, but at the same time, it's been good to have the time to rehash stuff out. Because I was at a point where I felt like I didn't have a portfolio that I was really psyched on. And that was kind of a bummer. Because it was like, well, I could do car and monster stuff for other people and have it in a portfolio of sort, but it's like still other people's ideas. You know, it wasn't fully my idea, like from concept to sketch to finished product.
Right.
So it was just the whole thing, kind of.
And I mean, at a point, aren't you kind of doing more than just that now? Like, isn't that also the idea of like, hey, you can't, like, it's just like the pinstriping, right? Like, you used to do it all the time, and then it got to a point where it's like, it's not that great, and then having to deal with people, and then nobody wanting to pay what it takes to do it. It just makes it to where it's like, well, why would you? Why it's, you know.
it's been like the last year or 2 years has been like a total new chapter, I think, overall. And I think just as of recently, it's been starting to kind of smooth out and settle down because with the new job, running like a screen print shop, it, I had my fair share of knowledge on it, but also when you do that every day, just like if you were to go do bodywork stuff for the first time
Yeah.
at a legit shop, then it's like, well, I've kind of got a lot of focus on that project. And by the time you get done or whatever, it's like, yeah, I don't really feel like building a car or like doing art stuff until the time's right. So it's been good to kind of have some time to figure out what I want to do and put together moving forward a collective overall direction, I guess, which I've never been the best with. But it's been good. But
Yeah.
in that time frame, I've gotten into downtime, I guess you would say, or
Yeah.
like not having to just continuously work on stuff.
And you
It's like, oh,
also
I
you're
can,
looking forward to Brooklyn's schedule. Nico's wife is a nurse.
yeah,
She's worked nights for years now, and
yeah,
it's like also that's like, well, I'm working Tuesday and Wednesday, then I'm off for 3 days, but then I work 7 days. So
right.
you've been sort of like you've always had this weird thing that people don't get, that like
I
you
have
two
no
like
routine
yeah, and you guys have to spend time together
whenever she's
when she's
able.
able to.
Yeah, yeah, it's just been tough to have a steady routine, and I never really have had that or had the option to be like, well, it's Saturday, I'm just gonna hang out and watch a movie or read a book or do whatever like activity normal people do to like unwind, because it was always like, well, I have this time, I'm gonna go draw all these things I need to draw or paint
Right.
these things that need painted. So it's been good to kind of have that non-stress outlet, I guess. So I've been getting back into watching horror movies and playing some games, but the big one was really getting into comic books again,
Yeah.
which brings us to today. So I was going
Well,
to.
before we get into comics, if you're watching this, I need you to send Nico a message and let him know it's time to give up the Xbox and to get a computer like a big boy.
I will have a link in the comments for my Venmo
And I
and
don't know if I
Cash
had the
App.
art yet last year when you were on the show. I
No.
don't think so. So all the art that's on the channel, Nico's done that, and then we're working on some other stuff, and we're gonna try to up. We're working together to up the production value even more, and then I'm gonna start doing some live streaming. I also trying to get it to where Nico can be on those with me remotely, and it's gonna allow me to interview some of our friends in the different industries that don't live here, but that we know,
Yeah.
like it'd be cool
Like,
to like get Von Franco on, and then it could be me, you, and
yeah,
Von
Von
Franco, or
Franco.
just you interviewing Von Franco for the channel. Dirty Donnie, if you're watching Donnie TV, day one subscriber of Donnie TV. I've been. I fucking love Dirty Donnie, man.
Donnie's great. But yeah, that would be awesome to kind of have that ability to have the outreach
Oh yeah, we can get
to
John.
everyone else.
Johnny Wells come to town, stay at my house, won't come in my basement, but he would probably do it on the internet, you know.
Yeah, he'd probably do it from the safety of his home, maybe.
But then I want to be able to travel and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
take our show on the road again.
Yeah, so it's been good. Like you've had your outlets and adventures and growing and trying to progress and move forward with
Yeah.
everything, and I'm doing the same thing with artwork and t-shirts and everything else. So it's been a good time
And
for sure.
you got the shirts um at the what's your shirt shop?
Yeah, I've got the Threadless store. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Threadless store.
If you just go to NekoLynnStudios.com, it'll take you there, or you can go to nls.threadless.com and it'll
Yeah,
take you there
Nico
too.
Lynn Studios is probably the easiest
Yeah,
way.
it's the easiest one. But
And there's like links on your Instagram and all that stuff
yeah,
too.
yeah.
But yeah, because I got those shirts for me and Eric.
Yeah.
Because I fucked up and I accidentally
Got the
ordered
wrong
it, got the
color.
wrong color. I wanted the purple, got ordered black. I was like, I'm not wearing. I don't need another black shirt.
Yeah, so that's kind of going back into trying to like I guess rebrand stuff or figure out an overall like art direction I want to head with everything, and that's a big part of it is that shop and kind of figuring out what artwork I want to actually put out there for like shirts. I know they have so much other stuff as far as like
Yeah, you can get it
merch
on
goes.
whatever.
Yeah, you can get
That's what's
whatever.
cool about that thing is that like, and honestly, the shirt is
Yeah.
super nice. Like
It really is. I was kind of skeptical at first, but
yeah, and I was too. And the ones that I got, the shirt's high quality, the print is high quality.
yeah.
Like and it was the same price that it would be if you had to sit there and spend all the money
To
overhead it and have it all in stock. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so since like my day job, I go to work and I deal with other people's stuff and make, screens and do the whole print process from start to finish. And it's great and I still like doing that and want to do some of that for myself in the future, but the best thing about the threadless store is I can just focus solely on the artwork, the visuals of whatever it is I want to put out, and then upload it, and then like that's it. I don't have to deal with anything else. So it makes it easy for me to do what I want to do art wise with it and then have it live its life out online. So it's been good. I'm trying to like fine tune everything, kind of like the shirt situation you had. Um the it's like a double-edged sword, I guess, because you have so many options you can have available for that.
Yeah.
So it's like, at what point do you kind of say, well, let's kind of reel it in and say, well, I only want this image on, X amount of certain
Do they
colored
allow you
shirts.
to edit your store like
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
Yeah, and that's cool.
So I've been starting to do that.
Thing was like mine was
You
solely
just goofed
based
up.
on like I just did a goof. I did a whoopsie.
Right, but I'm trying to consider all that too, like.
Yeah, no, there's some of the things on there where it's like, okay, I don't need like. You're right. Yes, like.
I mean, you can, and that's what's
you
cool.
Can,
like,
but like
Coops.
some of the art doesn't look good. Like that specific thing that we got of the guy on the motorcycle.
Yeah.
That's not gonna look good on like a cream colored shirt because the
Right.
colors are too they're too different from each other. You know what I mean? Like you kind of want that to be like, Also, I think it might freak people out too. You know what I mean? That go there, like older people that aren't
Right.
used
It's
to that
almost
sort of
overwhelming.
Thing. It would be overwhelming.
Right.
Where it's like, hey, these are available on black, white, gray, and then like a color.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So like actually earlier today and last night I had just gotten done kind of going through settings and just rehashed what's on there right now. Kind of doing that exact thing of, I guess, limiting in a way, but I still want to give options since there's so many that I can have available, and it is like no more headache on my end. But it's just having kind of that, like trying to keep that user friendly thing in mind, but then also really try to consider what
it would
is
be
floating
cool
around.
If they would like show you as the consumer, like, oh, no one's bought one in this color.
Oh, so it's like a it's like a.
So you would, like, if I wanted to be like, I want this, but I don't want, I want one that's different than every
totally
other one.
Different.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I wonder, could you do limited edition stuff on that store? I guess you could in a way, right?
Yeah, like it would just come down to like me announcing it and then making it live for X amount of.
Yeah, I want to get you together with Justin that was on the episode I just put out today because he's really cool. He did those Scott Pilgrim toys that I have in the other room. He's that's been awesome too. Is like here lately I've been talking to like a lot of people I don't really know.
Right.
But then like also they all just keep bringing me stuff when they come over, and I'm just like, ooh, like I felt kind of fancy the last month. I'm like, ooh, free toys, all right, baby.
Yeah, well,
I'll take all the free toys.
In the spirit of that, we're gonna keep it going because I did bring which you could say maybe it's a birthday or it's only for the interview, whatever. But I got a volume 1 issue
Oh,
of the complete 4 of Count Crawley. So that's the comic that I've been
thank you.
kind of rekindled my interest in comics and like everything horror and like 80s
Yeah, you've been pretty
aesthetic.
obsessed with Count Crowley.
Yeah, it's been a really great, awesome experience finding it, honestly. And it's been a double whammy. And I think the reason that you're going to really enjoy this is David Dasmalchian is the creator and writer behind this story. He's from Kansas. He
Okay.
went to like Shawnee High School,
Okay.
but he grew up in like Bonner area, Shawnee area.
Okay.
So he's from Kansas. He was just like a normal guy, played sports, but he was a theater guy in Kansas in like the 80s. Didn't really think he'd have a shot at doing anything with theater related, like acting or writing or any of
Mm-hmm.
this stuff. He was basically pushed to kind of, keep pursuing that interest that he had and ended up in Chicago at like the Art Institute, kept doing things, has a really great inspirational like life story. I encourage anybody to try and look up some of the interviews he's done and check it out. But he's just had quite the struggle with addiction and just quite the life to say the least. But he was in Dark Knight, which was like his first kind of big breakout movie, and he was just kind of a background character that was like with the Joker.
Yeah.
But I always thought it was so cool that he had made the connection of when he was in Chicago and going through a really rough patch where he was living out of his car. He was like strung out on I don't even know what. He was having a lot of drug problems. Basically was at all-time low, and then fast forwards to a couple years later, they're shooting Dark Knight in Chicago, and he's on set, and he's walking right past that same corner where he was living out of his car, thinking,
On working on a film.
yeah, now he's working on a film, doing the thing, and I feel like from that moment on, he's just been pursuing his dreams. He's been in a lot of other films. He's been in like Ant-Man, a couple other cool projects he's done. He's always doing stuff. He's
So he's
really.
probably one of those guys that if you saw him, you'd be like, "Oh, I know that guy from something."
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
He's got a very distinct face, and like, I don't know. It just
I don't think there's a photo of him
there may
anywhere.
be one in the back of that. I'm not sure, but
Mm-mm. I'll have to look him up.
without going all
But
crazy
also,
about
like, just
his.
the last line. So let's give you guys. Let's read the synopsis here.
Sure, yeah, read it up.
Lock your doors and gather close if you dare. Once a rising TV journalist, Jerry Bartman has returned to her small Midwest hometown station. Demoted to hosting the nightly creature feature, Jerry's professional humiliation is eclipsed by the discovery that her new job comes with a secret supernatural duty. Her missing predecessor, Count Crowley, was one of the last appointed hunters of monsters. Yes, monsters. They're real and they're hell bent on controlling the news and information consumed by humans. Everything we've been taught about monsters is a lie, and Jerry's only possible advisor is a senile male chauvinist. It's 1983, and the outlook for humanity is getting gnarly, and their only hope is an alcoholic, acerbic horror host from Missouri. Dude,
So
but also, the irony is that, like, I was born in
I know,
1983.
I know, and your birthday's tomorrow.
Yeah.
So
Awesome.
I picked this book up. So he had been wanting to do this project for a number of years and never really uh, was able to make it happen. And kind of like us, I guess. He just like comics was a big part of his childhood, and that was just something that even though he didn't initially pursue comics and writing, he just got to a point in life where he was able to still take on that project, even though his main thing's like acting.
Yeah.
And so he puts this together, does the pitch. Dark Horse picks it up. They do the four runs. That goes over well. So then they do a second volume. That goes over well. The third volume's out now. So
Are they all trades?
Yeah, so the
No
first
single issues, just trade
they have
paperback.
single
Okay.
issues. Yeah, they have single issues, and then after like a couple
After,
months
yeah,
of the
they put them all
fourth,
in a trade.
they just put them in a
So
trade.
this is the first book.
So that's the first trade.
And I can go get the second trade now.
You can get the second trade, or you can get the single issue. What I found works really well is Dark Horse actually has like an app you can download, and you can just buy individual issues for like 99 cents.
Yeah.
And then you can read them digitally, which I know it's not quite the same,
Yeah.
but it's also pretty cool because you can have it like if you just tap to like change, it'll just go to each panel.
Yeah.
So it's like really easy to read, and you can zoom in and stuff.
Yeah.
But
well, I switch because I had a comic book problem.
I know.
Used to have. I'm an addict through and through, and I'll get addicted to anything. Case in point, you saw that in the other room.
Yeah.
I have a whole production. I have a television production studio now. But I decided like, okay, I will only buy like the Humans.
Yeah.
I'll buy those when Tom Neely does another, when he gets the second run going. I'll probably buy those single issues because I have the first run.
Right.
But I'll buy the trades. And actually, Wiggins had my trade paperback.
I think I remember that
of
situation.
The Humans, and then he died. So who knows what happened to that?
Rest in peace, John.
R.I.P. Wiggins. But now I'll go get the trade because I know that supports somebody more than.
Yeah, so like David obviously he's like the main guy behind it. Wanted to do this story, had it for a while. With current events going on, because it was originally gonna be like a guy, he changed it to a girl for the main character Jerry. Everything about it though is just like a great story. Yeah. I would say, as far as she's like battling, like alcoholism and kind of working a dead end job, isn't happy. All these life struggles that happen to a lot of us. Then comes across this horror host TV position she has to do to keep their family news station alive, basically, and it's KSKB. So it's like a Kansas news broadcast place. So, but what's crazy? So this is the same volume that I got like hooked with. We were at Barnes and Noble on the plaza. My wife wanted to walk around and get some book, so I was just walking through the graphic novel section, and I saw the cover, and I was like, oh yeah, this looks like right up my alley because it's just monsters and just the like typeface screams like, oh yeah, I would probably like this. So I got it with nothing else known about it at all. Get home, start reading it that night, and like literally the first 3 pages, I was like, each page I'm like, no fucking way. Because it's like the very first one, they're at Bonner Springs Renaissance Festival. And we were like supposed to go to the Ren Fair like that next weekend. And I'm just like, what is this? Like, this is Bonner Springs Ren Fair, right? Yeah. So then I just start like thumbing through stuff, and I'm like, oh yeah, this takes place like here, this is like a Kansas City story by a guy from Kansas City. And then it's encompassing all this like horror stuff. It's got a lot of really great like vintage like horror comic tropes and characters, and it's all got its own spin on it though, which has been really great. Like there's zombies and like Frankenstein kind of characters, but they're not done up the way that you usually see them.
I mean, this is literally a comic book that takes place a half a mile from where I grew up. At my parents are a half a mile from that Renaissance Festival.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Yes, in 1983, nonetheless. Yeah. And so everything about it's great. I love the story. I just like, for me, the comic world, I've kind of always distanced because I just associate when people think of comics, they're like, oh, Fantastic Four or Superman,
Spider-Man.
Just kind of and it's like, yeah, that's fine, I guess. I can get down with Batman, but everything else I don't really care about. It's all like very horror. It's a very niche section of the comic world.
Yeah.
And so when I came across this, it like checked every box because the story was there, the characters and the, you know, ambience was all there. But then a big part, obviously, with comics is the artwork. And so, especially for me, it's like I'm very biased, I guess, about what I want to look at
Right.
for a comic. And Lucas, who's the illustrator, I mean, it's like it's he's like the next Bernie Wrightson,
Right.
which is like
That's your
one of my
guy.
guys. Yeah, like Bernie's like one of my guys. Anything with him is phenomenal. Any of the EC comic stuff, which was like, you know, the real early days, like Ghastly Graham and, you know, just all these weird, obscure horror
Yeah. Horror.
illustrators
Yeah.
that
It's
if
sort of like how I collect those weird Christian comic books. It's like the cross and the switchblade, and there's like the
yeah,
one about the Nazis and the Jews. And they're like just really, they have crazy. The artwork is super cool
it's
in those.
insane. It's insane. And so I fell in love with that artwork and the stories and that whole world early on. And then it's like it was really prominent in the 50s into the 60s and the 70s, and then there's still plenty of stuff that happens from then to today, but the selection starts kind of dwindling. And when
Yeah,
I came across this, it was like, holy cow, like
this
this
is
literally has
exactly what I wanted.
everything.
Yeah,
Like Lucas's artwork's phenomenal. Lauren is the like colorist, I guess the title is, and the way that she colors everything's really great. Because another part of comics, especially today, is I feel like everything's so digital looking. Like it's got a very digital like gradient fade. Like, oh, we're gonna paint this car and we're gonna just use this. I don't know. It just looks very computer art,
yeah.
and I never really was a fan of that. But this is like,
There are some now that are specifically they do them. They don't get colored
yeah, and
like a comic book.
this is one that's like it looks like a whole bunch of like legit watercolors used and
That's
like
why I
different
like
washes and grits and
right.
textures.
That's why I like the humans.
Yeah,
Because it
it's
was
very
old
similar
school. There's like
situation to
four
the
color
humans.
print, right? Like that's why it was the four color.
Mm-hmm.
It was only you could only put four colors in a comic book. That's why it was like that's the. They have the guys from Tell 'em Steve Dave. That's the podcast with the guys from Comic Book Men and one of the Impractical Jokers. But they
Right.
have this fake motorcycle club called the Four Color Demons,
Okay. So
and that was
yeah.
their whole deal. You know
Yeah,
what I
same
mean?
kind of idea. Like every aspect about that kind of goes into play when it's like you're looking at a medium that you're reading but also visually looking at. It's like, well, there's all these different components that kind of make what I would think's like the perfect story, or at least for whoever the reader is. And for me, I feel like this is it because it's just got the subject matter, the story, the artwork. So it just all comes together. But I was beyond thrilled when I found it. I just happened upon it, and it just was like, this seems like it was written for me, you know? Like,
Yeah.
it couldn't be any more perfect. And then it's like, I want to do nothing but like,
Give it to
yeah,
me.
like take this, read it, like you're gonna love it, like
Yeah, I
get
am gonna read
consumed
it.
by it. But yeah, David's a awesome guy. I mean, I've never like officially met him. We've kind of corresponded back and forth online a little bit, but like the community that they've been building with the comic, just on Instagram's been pretty cool because they're very like, you know, if you do like some fan artwork, like anytime I post about them, they like reshare it or are very
Oh
adamant
yeah,
to be
you've been
involved.
very fortunate in that like you find these weird things that you like, and then somehow those people notice you, like the Terrifier guy, like
Yeah,
just
yeah.
all off doing the artwork though. You know what I mean? You're just
I mean, it's. I guess that's like how I work is like, oh well, I really appreciate you or what you've created or
yeah,
done,
it's
and
awesome.
so it's like, well, I make pictures, so I guess like here's
Hey, I drew this.
something.
Yeah,
So
no, it's cool.
it's yeah, I've looked out, but like they've been really open armed, like welcoming anybody I feel like who kind of hops on board. But I would love to see if David, if he's out there or whatever. Like, it'd be awesome just to like chat with him more about this, just because of how, like, you know, as an individual himself, but then also creator wise, it's like there's a lot we could talk about, to
Yeah.
say the least.
Yeah, because that's a thing some people don't realize. They think to make a comic book, you have to draw it, you have to come up with the story,
Yeah.
you have to color it, and it's actually three different people. Like
Yeah.
one person is writing it, one person is drawing it, and then there's a whole other person that their whole thing is adding the color. Like,
Right.
and
So
generally the guy that draws it doesn't do the color.
right.
He
So Lucas, I mean, he did, like, I think he did this cover. He like painted that, but like he's just doing like the ink works and pencils and working with
yeah.
David, who's writing it and doing like panel. Maybe does have an idea for panel and he gives it to him,
Right.
or he's like, well, this is what's the dialogue
Here's the
is.
dialogue.
Go with what you think, and then Lauren's coloring it, and then they even have Frank, who's like the letterer. So they have a guy who only letters too.
Yeah.
And then they have their editor, and
And the
like
lettering
that's
guy
it. That's like
probably
the
is just a
team for the
dude
most
that
part.
does that for a bunch of the Dark Horse comics, I'd imagine.
Yeah, and Lucas has worked on other stuff too. He's done like bigger comics before this came about, and
There
it,
are a lot of comic book
it's crazy.
people, like
Yeah.
people that like create in the comic book world that live in this town that people don't know. Like the guy that did Thor for a long time lives here.
Mhm.
Jason Aaron is from here, and he's written some of
Yeah.
my favorite stuff. Dude, books that I really like, Humans. I
Yeah.
was always a Batman guy. But like obscure things, Scalped. I really loved the Scalped series.
Mm.
And that was like that's a comic. They were supposed to make a show about it and they never did. And then they kind of had this show come out that was it's kind of like
Close, but
it's kind of like there's like subtle hints that it's scalped, but it's not scalped, you know. But uh Scalped is about a guy that like goes back to like this criminal that goes back to the Indian reservation and somehow he becomes a sheriff or something.
oh,
It's a wild story.
that sounds cool.
It's very cool. It's very like Walking Tallish.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's like Walking Tall but with like Native Americans.
Okay.
And this dude's
Yeah.
like he like kills people. Like it's wild. It's a wild book. I might have to send
check
you
that
home with a
out.
couple
Yeah.
books. I got a bunch of the trades. The Humans is awesome. That's like we need to talk about it's Planet of the Apes, but it's about outlaw motorcycle
Yeah.
clubs. And so but it's also set in the 60s, but like they have like humans
Right.
like that are like
It's
kind
like
of like slaves, you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like
It's like a reverse. It's like Planet of the
it's like
Apes.
Planet of the Apes, but then like that's the name of their motorcycle club is the Humans, and like the dude goes to Vietnam, and like so he has these flashbacks because
Mhm.
it's like in this like I think it's probably set in like the early 70s, and then it's like so, but there's these crazy like centerfold art pieces that they've
Yeah.
done
Yeah, yeah,
where
yeah.
it's like the dude tripping on acid having a nom flashback, and it's like the art is crazy and it's
I
good.
would have to compare like that. I know they're pretty much two separate things overall, but I would have to like say that's probably up there with this, as
Right.
far as you're taking all these kind of very niche tight knit
Ideas.
group idea stuff, and you're balling it all into a whole new thing,
Yeah.
and packaging it, in such a way that it's like, it feels new and exciting, even though it's the same old stuff in one way. It's totally different in
Right.
another, and it's like,
Dude, there was a Sons of Anarchy comic book that Boom put out.
yeah,
That was like way better than the show. And I tell people about it and they're like, you're an idiot. I'm like, I don't know, dude.
I haven't seen either, but
It works way better as it's like as a comic book, you lose like the real like the insane things.
right, it's like
It doesn't
anything
get
can
so
happen.
ridiculous to where you're like, okay. Like,
Yeah,
and that's what they do with television is like it starts off being really real and raw, and then they're like they have to always up the ante to where things get crazier, and it's like this is unbelievable now. Like,
yeah, yeah.
you can't ride. It's like, you know, you're not riding around shooting guns off motorcycles at each other. Like
Right,
That's
right,
not real life activities.
right. I feel and
But
that
in a
was
comic book,
right. But there's a good, I guess, balance too with that because like David had mentioned in one of the interviews I had heard was he didn't want it to feel like you walk into a room and there's 800 zombies or whatever, and the one protagonist and they've got a machete, and next thing you know they've taken out
every zombie.
it's like and done. It's like no, at any minute he having that feeling of like so they may die,
Right.
like it may be a thing. Kind of like Game of Thrones, I guess. It's like you never
I never
can get
watched.
too comfortable
I
with the
still never
character.
watched Game of Thrones.
Yeah, it's
I tried to watch it,
it's all right.
but then the first episode, I feel like there was like a midget having sex, and then he got thrown out of a tower or something immediately. And I'm just
You're
like,
close, I think,
I was
on
like,
that.
what in the, like
There's
this is
like
not
there
how
was
I don't.
incest,
Yeah, I don't.
and there is a dwarf.
Yeah, I don't need that with my fantasy. I
That's
like my
fair.
fantasy a little more Lords of the Rings, Conan the Destroyer.
Yeah,
Uh, it doesn't have to be
it's
that
good.
raw.
It's good, but it like I think what makes it good is the pacing of that show's really really different for the first like however many seasons. It's like, oh, we've got to get from point A to point B. This is going to take like 12 episodes to achieve that.
Yeah,
And then you start to kind of get it's like an older film or something where it's like
yeah,
the pacing's just totally different than today's.
like very slow.
Yeah, but you start to get invested and wrapped up in the character and the story and
Yeah,
whatever. But then the last season, it was like they just speed rolled 5 seasons into 6 episodes or whatever. It was uh, like, because I got hooked into it because Brooklyn and her brother and very invested. I got invested, and then it got to that part, and it was like, just like, dang, that was a lot of time invested to not feel like at all good about the
ending.
Yeah, it was just like, eh.
That's how I felt about the Sopranos movie.
Yeah.
That stupid Mini Saints of Newark. I've watched it like 3 times now, and every time I'm just like, this is so stupid. I felt that way about the biggest letdown I've had in cinema in the last couple of years
Mm-hmm.
was probably the Deadwood movie.
Oh yeah.
I was dude, I loved that show, and it sucked that the writer's strike ended it. And it was so good,
Mm-hmm.
and then they made this movie, and the movie's just so dumb, and it's like, okay, like it doesn't, like this is a bad idea. Like we don't always have to go back. I'm stoked on the like. Now we can talk about movies.
Yeah.
Uh, the new Dune movie. I'm stoked on that.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
first one was awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm ready for the next one. That movie was great.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was great. I guess with the movie thing, even like comics or any type of someone's creating something to be viewed or consumed in some way. That's the gamble, I guess, is like every sign could be saying, yeah, this is gonna be a complete knockout. And then it's like just doesn't mash. It doesn't
I
come through the way you think it will. But when they surprise you or they do in fact do what you think they're gonna do, it's like this is great.
Yeah, like the new Batman movie, I didn't go see it in the movie theater because I was like, what the
Yeah.
And then after I watched it, I was like, shit, I should have went and seen this in the theater.
Yeah.
This movie's badass.
Yeah, I waited like 3 years. I feel like I don't know when it came out, but I just watched that like
Oh, it came out like
ago.
a year ago.
Was it a month?
Yeah, because I watched it. It came out on HBO because that's who owns DC is Paramount and our Warner Brothers, and it was on HBO Max when it came out. Like it dropped to Max from the theater.
Okay.
And I watched it then. And was like, oh shit, this is really good. And I watched it on a little TV.
Yeah.
I need to watch it on the
new
old
monitor?
41-inch OLED in there.
Yeah,
I just watched Blue Beetle yesterday.
Okay. I
Have you seen it?
have not.
Dude, just in general, I am like wore out on them making movies and then overdoing the cultural shit in them, like making it a thing. Like
Yeah.
everybody's Hispanic, which I don't have a problem with, right? Like, but
It seems
it's
too trying.
yes, they're trying too hard, right?
Yeah.
Like George Lopez is in it, and he's like over the top. Like they're trying so hard that they almost make it racist. Like he has a fucking pickup truck that has all the like chrome trim and shit on it. You know what I mean? And it's like, but then it's
Well,
like the bad person is this evil white lady, and it's because it's just like, dude, like it's not representative of comic books. I don't think, and that's what I don't like. It's a weird thing that they're like we can't do it that, you know what I mean? And then I feel the same way. Junior and I watched Meatballs not long ago,
yeah.
and like 20 minutes into it, we're like, what's weird about this movie? And it's like there's only white people in it, and it's like this is weird. I mean, it's about like a Jewish summer camp, right? Though really, like that's what that movie's about.
Okay.
Um, but it's like, well, I would perceive it that way because that's historically like things like that, like Dirty Dancing, you know, like that was like
Right.
all the people that went to like they're all Jewish, right? Like they had this like thing that they made, this like summer getaway that they could all go to, and it was like a resort type place, you know. And there was like real places like that they had created back in the day, but it was just weird. It was okay. The movie was okay, and after a while, they kind of got away from that. But it's it's no different when they're like, "We're gonna make Superman gay now." It's like, yeah, or like, can you just make a new one that's gay? Like, do you have to make the old one gay because we got like 50 years invested into this guy's story, and
Yeah,
like,
that's like that happened with Star Wars for me. I'm a huge Star Wars fan, but it was like, well, they just started doing too much. You know what I mean? And then it's like, okay, well, you don't have to like make 40 different spin-off TV live action shows that now are trying to like bring in all these different aspects, and
I
it's just
thought
like, well,
Mandalorian is badass.
Mandalorian's great.
I liked Boba Fett
I
because it was almost like a weird biker movie. Because that's what it turned into with all the flashback stuff, right? Because there's like the
Yeah,
biker gang
the little
robbing the
scooters
spice
stuff.
smugglers, you know?
The Book of Boba, I was really hopeful for because I'm a big Boba Fett like fan. Anything like Jabba's palace or like Tatooine, and just that whole aesthetic and story has always been captivating to me. But then it just seems like they totally dropped the ball on that show. I
Yeah.
still like it, but it just compared to like Mandalorian,
Yeah,
it's just
I
like you
think
can
they just
tell.
didn't want to make it into another spaghetti western, right?
Well, it's like there was like the A team that handled Mandalorian,
And then the
and
B
then it was
team.
like whoever else was hanging around.
Did you watch Osaka?
The last one I watched was Obi-Wan, which was great. I liked it a lot.
I think the only reason they made that Osaka show, because I watched it, but I'm pretty sure the only reason they made that was to explain the weird witchcraft shit in the last movie. Because it definitely has these like witches and the empire, and it's like setting up
For something else
to
to do.
explain they're trying to make sense of uh the rise of Skywalker
Yeah.
instead of just being like, I don't know. They really biffed those. I love it all. I love Star Wars. I
I do
always
too.
have.
It's just
But
I don't
like the
know
first movie was awesome.
which one. The
Uh
Force Awakens. Is that what you're
Force
talking about?
Awakens, they killed Han Solo, like they did all the shit right. But then like, you
They just
know,
started fumbling stuff.
they started fumbling stuff like could have killed Princess Leia in the second one when she's dead in space instead of letting her force it back into the like that should have been the end of Leia, right? Like, and then that sets up for like, okay, now Poe Dameron's in charge,
Yeah,
and we're gonna
there's
do it that way. And then like, did even the like, I hate like you don't have the Jedi's don't have to keep Jedi suiciding themselves. Like
to be,
it would have been way tighter for like fuck what you heard. I wanted to see Luke Skywalker kill the Emperor because we all knew the Emperor was going to come back at some point, right? Or like Skywalker should have fought Snoke or something, dude. Like they killed Snoke in a cool way, but also, who the fuck was that guy? Because they don't.
there was a lot of, again, I think there was a lot of creative hands being thrown in and then not fully being able to finish out the idea.
Yeah.
And then it go in a totally different direction.
Yeah.
Like I didn't have a problem with the Emperor being cloned because like that was a thing and like Shadows of the Empire and
right.
But don't make that reveal on the final
in the last movie.
And then kill him in the same movie.
Yeah.
Like make that reveal like in the second one. And then it's like, oh, now we know
like somebody's lurking in the darkness, but like even in the other movies, right? In the prequels, we knew who it was. We knew who was lurking in the darkness.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I watched there's that Tales of the Jedi cartoon.
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
I haven't.
It's pretty cool. It's sort of like interludes with a bunch. It's like basically leads up to Osaka, basically.
Okay.
But it's like it like shows like Count Dooku being like it goes through like it's like a little 20-minute deal that explains different parts of each story. So it's like one of it is her being born, and then her family realizing she's a Jedi when she's a baby. Then there's another one that's like Count Dooku and Qui-Gon Jinn when he's his Padawan, like going to help these people where this like shitty senator was doing bad things, right? So that's cool. Then the next one is like Qui-Gon showing up and being like, you know, I encountered a Sith Lord and nobody believes me. And then Count Dooku being like, tell me more about it, you know? Right. And then the next thing is like him getting killed by Darth Maul, you know what I mean? And then that it's like shows the story of like Count Dooku going to the dark side.
That's cool.
So it's cool. And they're really cool. They're like done in that like computer animation, like Pixar-ish type thing that they've been doing with the Star Wars stuff. So that's really cool. The Clone Wars cartoons were pretty good.
Yeah. Like, I'm sure all of the stuff that I haven't seen up to date is really
And that's
great.
older. Like, Clone Wars was, like, pre-Disney Plus. That's, like... Yeah. That was, like, Disney Channel.
Yeah, I remember watching some of that, like, on
so
TV.
That was always good. That Bad Batch show, I watched a few of them. They were okay.
It's all right. I
couldn't get into it that much. I don't care that much about Stormtroopers. I don't need to know the distinct story of the Stormtroopers because they're all, like, back then... They were all just Boba Fett clones.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
They're not even... Yeah, I guess the cloning thing, I guess the whole thing is, like, not even in Shadows of the Empire. Like...
It's a thing.
It was called the Clone Wars, right?
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, he probably did clone himself.
Yeah.
But it was just, again, there was, like, the witchcraft part, too, where he had, like, all those cultists around him. Like, why don't you tell us about that? Like,
yeah, that was, like, what's going on with
But then that's the thing, like... I'll have to show you this one scene where there's like they're literal witches in Star Wars, dude.
Okay.
Like, and I'm like, okay, like I don't.
Which is cool. Like, I think part of what makes a good story work is you can't give everything out on the table. You know what I mean? You can't be like, here's every single thing and why it is and da 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 da. There has to be some like, well, who's this? Like Boba Fett worked so great for so long because it was like, oh, this guy looks cool. What's his deal? He's around just enough. He's some badass bounty hunter guy.
Yeah.
There's no more to it. Now we're giving him a whole show and he's like a good guy. And he's like old and he can barely fight.
Like he didn't die in that pit. And that's cool.
Right. And that was the lore for a little while anyway. But
was that he wasn't dead, right?
Yeah, but like one of the big things was another bounty hunter, Dengar, was like one who like went and found him and then like helped him and then it's just like, well, no, we're gonna make it be the sand people.
Yeah. So, I really liked, dude, The Mandalorian was great.
I have yet to see the latest season of
It was really good.
But it was good. It is a good show. I mean,
yeah.
and they
it's got
did it
Gus
well.
Fring in it.
Yeah.
I think did they kill him in this season? I hope so, because he's definitely dead in real life, right? Didn't that guy pass away?
I don't know. Oh, I'm not sure.
Maybe
Fact.
not.
We need a fact checker.
We need a fact
here.
checker.
They'd be
Junior.
They'd be pinging everything.
He might not be. Oh yeah, there's some guy that's gonna see one of these clips and be like, actually, in the novel Star Wars, Shadows of the Empire, you can distinctly tell.
Well,
there's witches right here, and it's like, yeah, I never. I think I read one Star Wars novel.
Yeah.
When I was like a teenager, and I was like
the 90s paperbacks.
This is too much for me. Like,
it's
that's too deep.
It's a lot.
To read all those books and then try to make sense out of all of it, like, get out of here, dude.
It's a lot. I think the trouble is, if you get into any kind of IP, especially nowadays, like with Marvel, and like I couldn't even tell you the last superhero movie I saw. Like, I think it was before I got out of high school. Like, it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
And now, and I'm sure they're great, but it's just such a big world. Like, I don't even know where to start. I don't even know. The cool thing is, like,
on Disney, like, they have it, like, even the Star Wars stuff.
They have it lined up.
They have it, like, they literally have it, like, watch it in canon. So you can, like, it tells you, like, from movie, like, to show, where to... episodes of shows that fill in. So it's like, dude, the best Star Wars thing still is Rogue One, and then that Indoor show that they made. I'm waiting for the second part of that. That story's cool because we know what happens to that guy.
Yeah.
Like, oh, he's dead.
Yeah, I enjoyed Rogue One a lot. And then hot take, I liked Solo a lot.
Hot take also loves
Ron
Solo,
Howard,
dude.
I thought, how cool is that Ron Howard is directing a Lucasfilm
car chase movie in
space. And he was in American Graffiti, which was like George Lucas's second film.
Yeah.
Pre-Star Wars, and now it's just like a full circle thing.
Yeah, the Solo movie was awesome. There's this part at the beginning where they're on the run in that Land Cruiser. That's so sick.
It is cool. I mean, that's a cruiser, man.
Yeah. There's like a Mandalorian toy, I think. I don't remember what series. It's just came out. I saw it at Walmart. Okay. But it's like a stormtrooper on a speeder bike, and I want it so bad, but it's like $50. And it's a hang tag toy. You know what I mean? I'm like, tracks. I'm like, I got the 90s one right upstairs in the box where it's like, yeah, I got that for $5 at the swap meet.
Oh, yeah. Toys have gotten nuts.
Yeah. New toys are crazy, dude.
Like, I remember, because I am a big, like, action figure guy, and I remember, like, it would be like $5 to like $8 was kind of the range, and now it's like
$24.97
at least, you know. And it's like
that's for like an X-Men action figure at Walmart, $25.
Even the like reaction, the like vintage looking
$15.
Yeah, and it's like even then I can't pull the trigger on it.
I have a bunch of those from back when a few years back GameStop did these mystery boxes.
Yeah,
and they're like they put them on sale like the day after Black Friday.
Yeah.
So I went around buying a bunch of them because there was an exclusive pop figure that was all gold that was like worth a bunch of money. So I was like, let me get that and I'll flip it. I never got one, but I have like all these Aliens reaction figures and shit, and like Cobra Kai and Breaking Bad. They're cool, but the packages suck. Like half of them, the bubble just pops off eventually. It doesn't hold, so it's like they're cool, but also like they're just sitting in a box with a bunch of other shit toys I got.
Yeah,
like my coolest toys I have, and I have to go to my folks' house and dig through some boxes to find they're like diorama toys.
Mm-hmm.
But I have the Teenage Caveman, and the caveman's actually in there. There's just a stand that he stands on, and then I have the Reservoir Dogs. It's Harvey Keitel and
this would have been
Tim Roth. Isn't it Tim Roth that was in that movie?
Oh, I couldn't think of his name.
Yeah. But it's the scene where he's like, I'm a fucking cop, Larry. And he's carrying him outside, you know, and his ears all fucking gone. But it's like he hold the figure, like they're action figures, and he's like holding him. And I've looked them up before. They're worth a decent amount of money, but
Yeah,
mine are like out of the box, always have been.
that's like stuff from the cool section of Toys R Us back in the
Yeah,
day.
back in
Remember
the day, going
there
to
was like the
the
adult section
adult
of the toys.
section. Yeah,
That was the best section.
I missed that section.
Yeah. Speaking of that, reminds me, the last film I seen, which was just a couple days ago, but it was the new Eli Roth movie,
Oh yeah, how is that?
Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
Oh my god, it was great.
because that's the one that they made the trailer for.
They made the trailer in
Grindhouse
Grindhouse like
years
16
ago.
years ago,
Yeah,
like
and he
something
finally
crazy.
made the movie.
And he finally made the movie.
Did it have
and,
the same people that were in the trailer, or is it different people?
I have. I couldn't tell you the last time I saw like the like
Yeah.
any of that. I don't think anyone's in there. There may be like a cameo from someone. I could be wrong, but it was great. And speaking of like kind of like cultural or like bringing stuff in, like I feel like did a really great job on touching base with like how just ugly society is with like Black Friday, like capitalism and just like like people will take something from a dying person because it's on sale and they want to get the deal and like
Yeah.
like people rather pick stuff over people.
Yeah. Oh
So
yeah,
it was cool.
Dude,
it was a great movie. I would highly recommend going to see it.
Yeah, I need to see that.
It was good.
I was born on Black Friday. Literally.
You need to go see it. Maybe you'll go tomorrow.
I might do that. That might be what I do. Junior's got to work. Maybe I'll hit a matinee.
Thanksgiving. It was good, man. It was really good. It was a great it felt very like 80s slasher. I put it up there with like Halloween or like the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
I'll
like
go see it.
It's up there
for sure.
It's really good.
I'm trying to think what else. Show wise, I've been like, me, because I can catch a show on my lunch break, right? So I can like watch an episode on the phone. But dude, there's that Outer Range show on Amazon with Josh Brolin. That was like this weird. It's weird. It's cool. It's far out there. Mm-hmm. There's this other show that's super badass called The Peripheral.
Yeah, and I haven't watched it, but I saw it on there.
Dude, The Peripheral is tight.
Yeah.
So it's set like a little in the future, and people like they play Call of Duty and shit basically, but they do it over like VR.
Yeah.
And there's like all these dudes that were like ex-military people that are, it's like this chick's brother and his buddies. They're all like ex-military, but it's like, it looks like a shitty small town. But there's like weird shit. Like she works at this shop that is like a 3D printer place. Okay. So everything you need gets made at one of these facilities, right? So they print all this stuff. And they're playing this game in VR, you know what I mean? But then eventually, like, somebody sends them, like, this suit, and it's, like, this thing. So essentially, the gist is, like, they get into this VR, but it actually, they're controlling an android, basically, in the past.
Oh, okay.
So it has, like, this time travel aspect.
Yeah, it looked like a lot to watch. It looked like a lot to watch, but
crazy,
it looked cool.
And it's hard to explain, but I recommend it to, like, everyone. Okay. It's badass. And then... Jack Reacher. Are you familiar with the Jack Reacher series?
I have yet to watch.
But like any of the movies ever, like Tom Cruise played Reacher, and it's or no, yes, that was Reacher. He was Jack Reacher.
Thinking of the guy from The Office.
That's a different.
It's
that's,
similar.
Tom Clancy. That's Some of All Fear. Jack Ryan.
Jack Ryan. Yeah.
That's been played by Harrison Ford. By Ben Affleck. Homeboy that plays Chris Pine was Jack Ryan, I believe, in like Jack Ryan Shadow Recruit. So that's Tom Clancy shit. That's like spy game shit. Yeah. Reacher is a dude that was in the Army or the Navy, and he was like an intelligence like investigator or something. And he's like out of that, and he just like he's like it's very kung fu-esque. He's just this dude, and he just wanders. You know what I mean? And he like gets himself into like it's like an 80s TV show almost, like the A-Team, where these guys just wander around. The A-Team's kind of fucked up because they're literally like mercenaries for hire, though, right? So like it's like, but we only do good things. It's like, no, you just like
again. That's kind of like how Disney tried to spin Boba Fett. It's
yeah.
like you're a ruthless bounty hunter, but now you're good.
Well, we're gonna make you the good guy.
He's a good guy.
But like they've made the Joker into the good guy.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? Like that Joker movie. I'm excited for the next Joker.
When's that come out?
Dude, Lady Gaga's playing Harley Quinn.
That'll be wild.
And I think it's supposed to have Batman in it.
Which Batman you think they'll use?
I don't know. I wonder if they're gonna get
Robert again or no?
Well, I don't think that's in the same time frame.
Oh,
because the Joker's in like the 70s.
Yeah, and this Robert was like.
So it'd be cool if they just casted like someone else to make just for that specific. Like, yo, fuck the canon that you're doing now. Make it all set in like the late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah,
that would
be
cool.
Sick.
Then we can get live action Dark Knight. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, that would be cool.
I love those cartoons, dude. But honestly, I noticed like the DC cartoons, like those adult cartoons, now they started like they did some like crossover with some anime shit. I'm like, okay, well, now it's over.
Right. See, there comes a point where it's like you can't. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Like that Flash movie was badass.
I haven't seen it.
For all the bullshit people talked about how crazy that Ezra Miller dude is and all the weird shit that he's done, that Flash movie was badass. It has Michael Keaton in it. It's basically Flashpoint, where he like, do you know what Flashpoint is?
Yeah.
Where he like goes back in time to like save his mom, and it like fucks up the whole
like the butterfly effect.
Yeah, the butterfly effect, and it's badass. I love all that shit, dude. I just love it all. I try to find all. I like try not to like
get too too.
No, I try not to. I've been focusing more on like and always have on shit like that. Like, what do I like about it? And if I can't find enough things that I like about it, then it's just like out of the ether for me. It doesn't do it for me. And people are like, I can't believe you. Like, you don't like The Office? I'm like, I guess it's okay if it's on, but like also.
Well, it's fine. That's good. Like,
it's
not everyone.
Not my thing to.
Not everyone needs to like it, other than everyone needs to read this guy right here.
Yeah, read Count Crowley.
Yeah, everyone will like that.
There's weird shows like that people talk about, and I'm like, yes, it's cool, but like, it's not even an original idea.
Right. I think
you're obsessed with this. Like, are you obsessed with the Ricky Gervais version because it was out first? You know what I mean?
The original.
It's the same thing for like the obsession with Friends. I'm like, yeah, it was okay.
I never got into Friends. I mean, it was fine. Like,
it's no.
I was a Seinfeld
guy.
It's
no step by step. You know, give me a story about. You know, but that's just the Brady Bunch. You know what I mean? Like, essentially.
Yeah.
I was a Family Matters guy, dude.
Yeah.
Give me an annoying. Yeah. But that show got all weird when Steve became Stefan and like Stefan Urkel. Dude, Step by Step, our Family Matters was dope, dude.
Yeah.
Full House, Family Matters. Thank God, TGIF. Thank God it's Friday.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't know. There's everyone I guess has their checklist that they go through with anything, especially IP stuff, and the more you can check off, the better. If you can't check any, then you probably shouldn't watch or read any of it, or it's like, and that's fine.
Dude, everyone was like, fucking Yellowstone is so good. And I watched all of it, and I was like, I guess it's okay.
We had the same thing told to us. We watched, I think we made it to like not quite season 3, maybe season 3. I don't remember. It was fine.
The first one was really good, and it was like setting up to play like this cool land grab story, and like then it just kept getting more. Again, it just kept getting more. How many people are you gonna like? No one. These ranch hands keep just disappearing from your ranch. Like you've been throwing dead bodies over the state line in Wyoming and nobody noticed. Like it's just like there's like 50 spin-offs of that show now, and I'm just like, oh my god, dude.
Yeah.
Like, how much?
Yeah, it's one of those.
How much Yellowstone do we? And now like Tom Cruise is leaving.
Oh.
Or not Tom Cruise. What the hell is his name?
Kevin Costner.
Kevin Costner.
He's done with the show.
Done with it. I don't know. I decided I was like, yeah, they're fucking up. Like now there's like they got into a fight with each other, and then there was like the writer's strike. So now it's like Is this even going to come back on? Who knows?
I think to bring everything all together and back around to like starting with this comic and like David and stuff that we like is whenever someone does something that's important to really be invested in it.
Yeah.
Like you can tell like this is David's like baby project that
His magnum opus.
he's yes, and he's very like everything is just so, and he's like going to hyper analyze everything before he puts it out. And that's like me with what I'm doing with my art stuff right now is like fine tooth combing every single line on something, making sure it's just so, and then send it out. Like, okay, I think it's good now. Here's the stamp of approval to send it out. And it's like you trying to continuously keep upping.
Oh yeah, I
your
forgot. I
equipment,
forgot to
everything.
show you. I forgot to show you some new additions to the videos I've made. But yeah, it's just continuing to try to like
because
figure out
you're
oh, what do I want to do?
invested,
Right? Yeah.
you're passionate about it, and it's like I'm going to do whatever it takes to pursue these things and finish them out
Yeah.
how I want to. And then as soon as stuff gets, I think all that other stuff is just easy to get corrupted with. Well, here's a ginormous paycheck.
Yeah.
Sell me your story.
Well, dude, and
then someone else takes it and they're just doing a job, and and
we've always done all this stuff just because, like, when we were airbrushing, like, we got all that equipment and we got all the stuff we needed, and we do it, and like, it's not what you want to do all day every day, but it's that like tool, like we always talked about. That's one tool.
And how can I plug that into my overall?
How do I plug it all? And that's what we talked about. This is me finally figuring out how to bring it all together, right?
Right, because yeah, exactly. So,
but I saw somebody complaining about like getting a post deleted for their first episode of their podcast. They're like, I was just trying to share it. I invested $50 into getting this edited. And I just started laughing. I was like, 50? Like, you're complaining about $50?
Yeah.
Like, I had to build a computer.
Right.
Well, I didn't have to. I chose to. But I had to learn how to edit. I now know how to shoot film.
Yeah.
Edit it. Set up lighting. Calibrate the lighting to the camera. And some guy's like, your lighting shit. There's like some guy out there right now that's gonna be like, your lighting sucks. It's
and like, that's fine.
Cool. Then hey, if you think it sucks, by all means,
tell me. Comment below. Subscribe so you can check out all the other shitty
but also
lightings.
Give me some tips because I don't know what I'm doing. I had to hang a television from my ceiling just so I could make sure the audio would record.
Right. So I think as long as there's that passion behind any project, I guess it applies to anything you do, but especially when it comes to creating something, whether it be a comic, a movie, a podcast, a show, whatever. Right. As long as you still have that passion and drive, it's gonna be good. Even if it's not, people can still see through. Like, well, maybe you didn't check all these boxes, but you have that flame, and if you have the flame, it keeps going, and then it keeps building.
But if day one you're complaining, if you're doing anything and you're going, but I spent $50 to invest in this, it's just like the car show, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
You
invested a lot, but your end goal wasn't to get rich.
My end goal wasn't even to break even. It was just to create a thing
because you wanted
that
to
ended
do it.
In the future. It was a self-sustaining objective for our culture. You know what I mean? Right. It's not for, and I'll be honest, it isn't. It's not for, that car show ain't for spectators. You can come, but it ain't for you. It's not geared. I'm not doing things.
You're not gearing the show towards a family.
I'm not having a bunch of dumb shit
around.
Go down so that you'll come look at other people's. It's not for that. It's for the guy that has a car to show up, and there's other people that have cars or bikes or whatever your thing is,
and intermingle amongst the group.
It's a meeting space for these people,
right?
And they don't need those people don't want a bunch of dumb shit going on because they just want to go meet other cool
Right.
people.
Again, they're that's their passion or one of them, and whenever you combine people together that have similar passions or interests, or that can help each other's interests and passions, it's like a really special thing. And it was clear to me anyway at the show.
Yeah.
I mean, I made it like 20 feet without
Running into somebody that you needed to
and
talk to.
we talked. Yeah, it was like 2 hours and 20 feet.
Yeah.
Because it's like oh, and it was great. But yeah, I think it's just important to know what you want to do, and if you don't know, you got to just start figuring it out. And that's what you've been doing the last
year.
And so have I.
And we just went through right before this. We were looking
at
the old, just looking at the title screens and real like the first episode you were on, like how shitty the color looks because I had no idea how to do any of that. You know what I mean? And then to get to like now where it's like, I'll show you the one I just did last night that I filmed.
Yeah.
And or wait, was it last night? Two
Two
nights ago. And then it's like a night and day difference where it's like, whoa. And that's the thing everyone's told me so far, like people that do this sort of stuff for a living, it's been nice to like have those few friends of mine that know this stuff. And like, you know, there are different ways of doing it and what they think is best. And then taking those ideas from them and figuring out, okay, well, what am I doing? And I just like not you got to not be afraid to like play around with it, you know, and then like also have fuck ups because like I have mess ups all the time, but like I have Dylan who will be like, yeah, that it sounds like ass, dude. It sounds like ass on my phone. And I'm like, okay, well, why does it sound like ass? And then I like
have to
finally figured out what was happening, right? Like I was not recording the mics correctly, right? And I had them too. I was worried about what I could hear through the headphones, like the volume level,
right?
Instead of worrying about like
Your actual
you see how like
record levels,
right? So you see how I'm talking and it's only the one bar going up. I had these so high that your mic would pick up what I was saying. So when you listen to it back, it sounds like you're talking into a tin box. But I had that issue a couple episodes ago, and I've been trying. It's like, fuck, how do I save this? Because it was with that guy Justin Ishmael, and I was like, okay, well, what if I swap it into stereo mode?
Right.
Then it automatically will and it fixed the problem on that one episode. Like it made it not as bad. So I was like, okay. So that saved that. But then since then, I've just turned them down, and then in post, I can turn them up.
You can fix it in post. You can
fix it in post. You can always make it louder. You can't. It's like with the video, like you can always like the World of Wheel shit.
Yeah.
It took me,
which I loved that. That was great.
Thank you. It took me until now to um figure out how to do the color grading stuff.
Yeah.
Where it looked good. Because if you saw the raw footage and then I did it to show something the other day. I put the raw footage side by side with what I posted, and they're like, holy shit. I'm like, yeah, it's totally different.
Yeah.
And then even like with this, I've started playing around a little. Like last night I played around with like trying to draw the background color out more, but I now like Nick, that Stacy that I've done Dylan's brother-in-law basically, that I've painted stuff for him and his Dylan's sister, and he's helped me a lot with all this stuff. Like that's how I found out about this camera. That's who helped me set these. That's how we got to where we are. Nick came over and helped me set some things up, and I have some like real cool footage where we shut the lights off and just use the purple lights and film some like promo stuff that I want to turn into like an intro.
Yeah.
But he's helped me a lot, but now it's to a point where like now that with the Discord thing and all that, I could just call Nick and say, "Hey, can you give me a hand?" And then he could pop online. I can show him what I'm doing.
Right.
And then he can
some support
we don't have to
figure
be in the
out.
same room. So that's been cool too. Like knowing
Yeah.
like also then sometimes you just dude,
Well,
sometimes
that's
you just gotta play around with
yeah. Well, that's what you got to do. And if you're still doing whatever it is that you're playing around with and figuring stuff out, that's a good sign that you probably are passionate about it.
it. Yeah, I love it.
Because otherwise, if you had to mess with any of this other stuff, you'd be like, yeah, I think I'm not going to do that. Like, that doesn't sound good. Like, I don't want to mess with rebuilding a computer or building a whole new computer or these programs. Like, I think I'm over it. Then you
Yeah.
would have moved on, and we wouldn't be here, and
We wouldn't be
it would
here.
be whatever.
Oh, dude. And I'm quite the opposite. I am ready to build PCs,
Yeah,
baby.
yeah. He's about to open up the shop here,
Dude, I had
which is good.
so much fun doing that. It was so cool. It was like building a hot rod. And I'm like showing all of our old man hot rod buddies. I'm like sending them photos of like the CPU cooler. They're like,
And they're like, I don't know.
what in the hell is this? I'm like, dude, this is like, I'm basically LS swapping a 65 Chevy. And they're like, okay, whatever that means. And
Yeah.
I'm like, they're like, Jesus Christ, are those 2 radiators on your computer? I'm like, yes, they are.
And matter
it
of
also
fact,
has 17 fans in it. I'm like,
yeah.
I mean, I'm ready to go to Micro Center right now and make you buy your first computer part.
At gunpoint. No, that's awesome. Because then that has led to other stuff that, even though that may not be your main focus, that's still another thing for the toolbox, you know?
Well, yeah, and like I like building this stuff, you know.
And well, it helps you figure out how to continue to work all this smoothly.
Yeah, and even with what the channel's doing, right? Like I like building the stuff, and I'm gonna keep finishing Jerry's bike.
Oh yeah,
and
as far
all
as
that.
body stuff,
But like
body
I
shop.
kind of want to do more with like we've talked, like I want to do more like not necessarily like commentary. I want to be more of like the place that like you can come find out about certain things, right? Like you can find out about music and underground art and underground car stuff
right
in a whole, you know what I mean? And like
right. And I would say that's probably your main passion that you have,
yeah,
and always have had, bringing all these different groups together that you find yourself
oh yeah,
a part of, because that's who you are.
I feel like I'm a freelance anthropologist, dude.
So that's good. It's good.
Yeah.
And it's cool to see. You got the show, you've got this show, you've got your actual the car bike show.
Well, and that's yours too. So like that's ours.
Well, I'm just always around, you know.
Yeah.
I'm like the uncle who's just always at the family event.
Yeah, you're like the uncle that shows up out of town with like the Chinese toy to be like, "Here's your present, Timmy."
Yeah.
Speaking of that, I think we came, we saw, we conquered, and now I'm gonna make Neko do artwork for me. At gunpoint. First things first, I'm gonna make him draw things while I force him to Micro Center on Black Friday to go buy a computer.
Oh my god!
First part bought on a Black Friday.
Can't wait. Yeah, I think we went well. We didn't burn the entire barn down. I don't know what the time is, but
no, we didn't burn it down.
We've been doing better
now. We're sitting pretty at like
oh yeah.
We got like an hour 19, it looks like. So not bad. I got a timer now, dude. That's a twofold operation.
Yeah, that was like part 1 of 3. If we're talking our original.
The original video, yeah, we would be a quarter of the way through of me falling asleep on a Tuesday night, an hour and a half away from my house. Felt like I was that far. Gee, yeah. I was like in the chair like, I had to borrow. I wore work clothes. I remember that. That's right.
You wore
You did make me be on it because I wore.
You were just.
I was in my work clothes. I felt real insecure because I had on my gym shoes. And I had to borrow a shirt from you that I had given to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, what a good time.
Look how far you've came.
Yep. Still don't have nice shoes.
That's all right.
If you guys want, hit it up. donate to the
The
cause.
Venmo links will be in the description below.
Yeah, we'll put both of our Venmo links in there this time.
Yes.
If you want to support, just do
like,
that. I should probably put
comment,
that up. Like,
subscribe.
I feel weird about doing that, but it feels like that's just like a normal thing.
I do
days,
too,
right?
but I mean, if it's out there,
it's out
there. It's out there. Do with it what you will, I guess. I don't know.
It's all Black Magic TV.
But yeah, happy early birthday to this guy.
The big 40.
The big 40. That's a big accomplishment, man.
Yeah, I decided that me and one of my childhood friends were talking because he was also like an addict.
Yeah.
And he's been clean a little over a year now. But we were talking about how like we're pretty sure we must have been having like midlife crises in our 20s because we never like at a certain point I never thought I was gonna be this old.
Right.
Like I thought I was gonna I thought I had a band. We had recorded this record, and I was pretty sure I was just gonna go out in like a hail of glory, like in a shootout or something. Right. And then I was gonna be like, my drug fueled mind thought I would be like a martyr to rock and roll. You know what I mean? And like 20 years later, people would be like, "Holy fuck, listen to this." And then instead, I just like got sober, and then are like, "What now?
Yeah.
What do you?" It's like at like 35, I'm figuring out how to pay all my bills. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy.
That's all right. That's good.
Like Dan, the homie, literally just moved into his first. At 40, he has his first place.
Yeah.
Like that is his on the lead. Like.
Yeah.
Like just him and his girlfriend. He got a girlfriend.
Like a legit
first adult girlfriend.
Yeah.
And like they live together and like
that's
it's
awesome.
all theirs. And like that's I was stoked for him.
Yeah. I mean that's a testament to it's never too late to start trying to do whatever it is you
hear
want
that,
to do.
John Wells? How many times John Wells told me I was too old to make it in rock and roll or Who's laughing now, John? John, you should have got on YouTube 100 years ago. He could have been so early to the game with those damn DVDs. He was hard pressed on DVDs for so long.
He probably
God
still
bless
is.
You, John, we love you.
But yeah, that's because even like David with the comic, he always had that story. Always wanted to do something with comics.
He eventually made it happen.
He did have a fortunate go with his acting career, and like he's fortunate in that aspect. But then he still came back to what he was really passionate about and interested in, and had no experience with writing a comic or anything other than he was passionate about it, had any of that previous knowledge from reading comics or just being around the stuff that you enjoy and the passion. And that was it to get from there to here, and now on his third set.
Yeah,
that's all it takes, is making that decision to
stick with it
and make the first move.
Yeah,
because here we are. Here you are.
Tomorrow, as soon as this comes out, somebody's gonna be like, "Can you get a hold of Neko?" Right?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. Guys, get ready because as soon as Nico's wife switches her job at the beginning of the year and gets new hours, it'll be about a week, and he's gonna annoy the shit out of her enough that he's gonna start coming over, and we're gonna do a weekly show.
I'll be here at least once a week for once a week. Weekly segment.
For a weekly segment,
we'll do a condensed weekly segment of
comics and art.
Whatever we want to
wrap on.
Yeah.
And then we got to get you a computer so we can play games.
I know.
Because that's another thing. Some of you don't realize it, but anyone our age, we all grow up playing video games, and we love them. And the older car guys don't get it.
I mean, I am a nerd.
It's just we're both dork. I'm a nerd too, and they think because I was a drug dealer and a criminal and a wild person that I'm not a dork. You would be wrong.
Yeah, Fallout 4 has been great for me.
For the last 15 years, Fallout 4 has been an excellent game for Neko. It's one game. You got to get on that Starfield now.
Oh, yeah. I don't want to get too. Those can really suck time, and I
Yeah,
try to
as
still
I'm
be.
sitting here, as I'm playing PUBG, which people are like, "What the hell?"
You have to like cautiously go in, like, well, I'll only play for like an hour, and that's probably gonna be an hour and a half or two.
Yeah.
But as long as you're like, well, once I get to this point, then I'm gonna stop, so I can, like, I still have other stuff I want to get done.
My thing
If
is
you can
always
get that
like
part
I
done,
do it differently. I come downstairs and I do stuff for the channel, and I
mm-hmm.
get all I you know,
Yeah, work first,
dinner
then
after
play.
work, all that stuff happens. Junior will usually play Fortnite with her cousin or something, or hang out, and then I'll come downstairs, edit, do what I got to do, post. Then it can be like, okay, I can play one game, and then
Right.
but that game is like that's what's nice about that game. You can play one game and be satified,
Yeah, and that's good.
and that's it.
But yeah, it. You know.
No more days of like getting on Call of Duty and being like, I have to go.
You're right.
One more,
Right.
guys. Just one more game.
Right. It's not to that, but yeah, it's. I guess it's like an addict with knowing the limit. So it's like, yeah, no, we're not gonna.
We're good.
Just a little bit, but yeah, we are nerds, and it's fine. It's fine to be a nerd.
Yeah, it's great. All right, guys.
But
Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe. Enjoy your Blackest of Fridays.
Thanks for having me here.
If you want to donate to the channel,
please.
Whatever problems you have, please, with what we're doing, let us know.
Just comment them. I won't read them.
Give us all your money, and we'll
I won't even see it. But
yeah,
please,
comment, and I'll let him know what you say about it.
Also, David, we need David to reach out so he can come on Black Magic TV.
We need that to happen
because these Kansas guys got to stick together.
I'll binge read this tonight. Hometown boy,
not too much older than you.
Yeah.
There's a lot in common here.
We probably know some of the same people.
Let's link it up.
I'm going to read this today. I'm going to also have to go to a comic book shop of Neko's recommendation to go get the other ones.
Yeah. You probably have a good shot at just about any around here.
Probably.
But yeah, do that. Go watch Thanksgiving by Eli Roth. Intruders upstairs.
Last time we heard that noise, Junior broke her wrist.
All right.
We gotta go check that out.
And
later. And
break.
Cut.